Hello and welcome. My name is Dinoj. I'm an undergraduate of OLS University, and today we'll be talking about a special topic, and that is Raspberry Pi. Some of you might have heard about the Raspberry Pi board, but some of you might not. So don't worry, I'll be teaching you what is Raspberry Pi, what's the pin diagram of the board of the Raspberry Pi, what's the difference between the Raspberry Pi and there are some other boards like Arduino, microcontrollers, what is the difference? And what are the uses of the Raspberry Pi board and much more. So without further ado, let's get to the Raspberry Pi. So what is Raspberry Pi? The Raspberry Pi is a low-cost credit card sized computer that plugs into a computer monitor or TV and uses a standard keyboard and a mouse. This is a single board computer. So as you suggested, this is a single board small scale computer. So you might have seen the Arduino boards and microcontrollers. So what is the difference actually? Is it the same? No, it is not. Is this a microcontroller? No. Is this a microprocessor? No. Raspberry Pi is a small scale computer that also do the microprocessing as well as storaging of the data. So next we'll see the vision and mission of the Raspberry Pi. Our mission is to put the power of computing and digital making into the hands of people all over the world. We do this so that more people are able to harness the power of computing and digital technologies for work, to solve problems that matter to them and to express themselves creatively. Next, we will see the board layout of the Raspberry Pi board. So as you can see, there are 40 GPIO pins. So different kind of sensors and actuators gonna be fitted to these 40 GPIO pins. And this also have USB ports, so you can connect your keyboard, mouse, and other accessories. We also have a micro SD card slot, so you can connect your SD card as the storage device. And this also have an Ethernet port, so you can connect your network cables. And this also come up with inbuilt Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. So if you take Arduino board, there is no inbuilt solution for the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. You have to connect separate sensors for that. So in Raspberry Pi, we have that feature, inbuilt Bluetooth and inbuilt Wi-Fi. So it has micro HDMI ports. So you can connect it to a display, camera ports, and USB-C ports, convert data, power ports, and much more. So let's get down to the next topic. Is it open source? Raspberry Pi operates in the open source ecosystem. It runs a Linux and Linux-based operating system, and its main supported OSs are Raspbian OS. This has a Python-based operating system. So when we are going to create some things, let's say connecting cameras, controlling the vision, so things like that has to be coded in Python in Raspberry Pi. So this is a special topic. We will be describing about the applications of the Raspberry Pi. The first thing is the embedded sensor and other modules. So you can see some pictures, right? Raspberry Pi boards and connecting with different sensors and actuators. So this is, let's say, if you're undergraduate and you're doing some research, you can create a prototype of your design using Raspberry Pi. So let's say you are creating a motion detecting car, let's say camera and motion detecting. That car would be able to follow you. So that's motion sensing, right? So you can create a car like that using Raspberry Pi. So we can use Arduino, but Arduino doesn't have that much power to do image processing and complex things. So if you are doing some video processing, image processing, or something like that related project, my recommendation is to go for Raspberry Pi. In Sri Lanka, lot of university students and undergraduates, school students, they use Raspberry Pi boards to create various development projects. Next, interconnecting applications with IoT. A lot of you might have heard about this topic, IoT, the Internet of Things. So Raspberry Pi has an inbuilt Wi-Fi and Bluetooth connection. This inbuilt Wi-Fi connection, you can connect your Raspberry Pi board to the internet. And that makes the Raspberry Pi is an IoT device. So the devices you're going to be creating using Raspberry Pi is IoT enabled because it can connect to the internet and connect to internet databases, and you can use it. So let's say if you are doing a home automation system, so you can use the Raspberry Pi board to create that. Control your lights using your mobile to internet. You can control your lights, control TV. Let's say if you have a security system, you can activate and deactivate the security system in certain times, open and close doors. Lots of possibilities using IoT. So if you have a Google Home or Alexa, also you can enable those devices with your Raspberry Pi. Next is the computer vision, giving eyes to the robots. So you might have seen Sophia the robot, right? So the Sophia the robot is a talking robot. She can, if we are talking with her eyes will be able to detect our emotions, our feelings, and can record our voice and detect what we are saying, and she can answer to our questions. Things like systems like that, we can also design using the Raspberry Pi. So let's say another example, the self-driving cars. So if you want to create a self-driving car, the car has to know what are the other vehicles going, the directions of the vehicles are going, how much, how long, how far away the other vehicles from our vehicle. Is there people going on? Who are the people? Who are the signs? What are the signs? Let's say color light, traffic lights. It also has to be detected when we are creating a self-driving car. So projects like that are created using Raspberry Pi. Also, we can create face recognition systems. So a system that can able to detect human faces. So things like that can be created using Raspberry Pi. Developing AI in hardware, the artificial intelligence. A good example is the OK Google, provided by the Google Assistant. So you can control anything. You can tell him anything to do and they will do. Let's say make a phone call. You can say, okay Google, make a phone call. Make a phone call. Then he will make a phone call. You say make SMS. You can send the SMS to your friend. So this is done by the AI, machine learning AI system that is inbuilt. So system like that can be created using Raspberry Pi as well. So it's a complex process. So normal Arduino boards, they can't do it because Arduino boards doesn't have that much processing power to do. But since Raspberry Pi, it has a RAM, storage, good processing power, so it can do things like that. So I hope you learned something good and something interesting, new about the Raspberry Pi and other things. And thank you.